Khatri, meaning of draper. Find it and give it to me. If you cannot frame thought, which I had given you an earlier task. What do you mean by draper? The meaning is already given. It is available in your PDF. So my work and your work, sir, has reduced a lot. The meaning is here. Read it, students. Any one of you must verbally say those meanings. What do you mean by draper? One who sells clothes. Fine, Gautami. One who is into cloth business. Destined for the
Yes.
profession of a draper, he became अनमोल लेट से आती हो लेट से बोलती हो क्या तुम? He became instead one of the great intellectual lights of his age. So your noting part is his birth date, place. Next paragraph, his father Joseph Wells. So affix it as father's name dash Joseph Wells. Kept a small hardware shop and was an enthusiastic professional cricketer. No need to add much more about his father's because we are concerned with H.G. Wells. His mother, whose maiden name was Neil, to put it the name, mother's name, had been in domestic service for before her marriage. So you can imagine the condition of Mr. H.G. Wells, or before moving the people, moving the general public with his intellectual ideas, he was just coming from a normal family. Had been in domestic service before her marriage. The shop in Bromley High Street never prospered. Its income was barely sufficient to keep the family above the poverty line. So we can understand the condition prevailed during his childhood. His father, this part is done. From his father, young George, Bertie as he was called. So he had a nickname also. You can keep it nickname as N-I-C-K, nickname Bertie as he was called, had inherited a taste for reading which he was able to indulge freely at the local literary institute and lending library. That means inherited means from his father. His father was also avid reader. ಓದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತಿದ್ರು ಅವ್ರ ತಂದೆಯವರು. ಆ ಹ್ಯಾಬಿಟ್ ಮಗನಲ್ಲಿ ಸಹ ಬಂತು. ಅವರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ನಿಕ್ ನೇಮ್ ಇತ್ತು ಬರ್ಟಿ. So he was able to indulge freely means without spending any extra money. He was able to fetch books from these institutes. No need of any recording here, any note making here. He was sent to school locally, first to some cottage school and later to an establishment called Morley's Academy. In 1880, when the family found itself in great financial difficulties, Mrs. Wells was offered and accepted a post as housekeeper to her former employers at Upark, Sussex, and Herbert George was apprenticed to a firm of drapers in Windsor. So this particular boy, Mr. H.G. Wells, when he was in the young age, to satisfy the financial need of the family requirement, he joined as an apprentice, as a worker in a firm, which he was that firm that is also a cloth firm. However, he did not satisfy his employees and had to leave after 1 month. So to the surprise, he was not able to satisfy the customers. Means he was not so courteous. He may not so polite in his approach. That's why he had to leave the job. That means behavior mattered a lot. Yeah, Sudanma, I have sent this PDF in the group. I think on Sunday. However, he did not satisfy his employers. Customers, I said it, I'm sorry, employees means one who has employed him, though he couldn't satisfy with his work and had to leave after a month. For a very brief spell, he acted as pupil teacher at a school in Somerset. So he worked as a pupil teacher at his young age. So two professions. One profession as a cloth, as an apprentice in a cloth shop. Second was he became a pupil teacher, a tuition teacher, and after that he was a chemist assistant at Midhurst for 1 month. So you can imagine his duration of getting employed. In January 1881, the date is given here. So Mr. Herbert (1866 to 1881), 66, 76, 86, at the age of 21, I think. 66, 76, 86. So less with 5. At the age of 15 to 17, he was into all these professions to satisfy the family needs, financial needs. In April of the same year, he found himself once more a draper's apprentice, this time at Southsea. After 2 years in this soul-destroying occupation, he could bear it no longer and left it. His matter of interest was something else. He next obtained a post as assistant master at Midhurst Grammar School, and in 1884 was awarded a scholarship at the Normal School of Science, South Kensington, London. For 3 years, he studied physics, chemistry, geology, astronomy, and biology, the latter under Professor Thomas H. Huxley. On termination of his studies, he became assistant master in a school at Holt, North Wales. There he had a severe football accident from the effects of which he suffered for very many years. He returned to London in July 1888 and early in 1889 joined the staff of Henley House School at Kilburn. In October 1890, he took a BSc degree with first-class honors in zoology at London University. So he had a degree. His next appointment was that of a biology tutor for the University Correspondence College. So studies always mattered in his life, we can understand. This particular biopic or the introduction of Mr. H.G. Wells is given by the Rupa publication team only. In the summer 1893, a serious hemorrhage of the lungs forced him to take a long rest and to adapt a complete sedentary occupation. Sedentary means where physical exertion is disallowed because of a hemorrhage, especially with lungs. Maybe the functioning of lungs was disturbed. Around 1891 to 92, he had contributed essays to various educational and other journals, and in 1893, while he was recuperating from his illness, he began to write short stories, essays, and reviews. So this man of a lot of intellectuality, though he is having a sedentary life right now, resting, the writing work was on. That means a person may be physically ill, but mentally, when who is alert, can move any mountain. And reviews for periodicals and magazines, among them the Pall Mall Gadget, St. James Gadget. These publications are not important for our topic. In 1893, his first major work, a textbook of biology, was published. The year 1895 saw the publication of a volume of short stories, a volume of collected essays and of two novels, The Time Machine and The Wonderful Visit. The former established high reputation. This Xerox, while I was taking the photograph, it didn't come properly. Only part this, rest all topic is fine. Reputation as a writer of extraordinary power and imagination. That means the first presentation was the time machine. It's a wonderful concept. Because of this idea, Mr. Einstein has thought to introduce that there is another dimension to think over. So I think these readers and writers and inventors and scientists are one way related to the same flow of brain. So the former means this one, latter means this one. While we write it like this, the former established high reputation as a writer of extraordinary power. That means the time machine writer has given him lot of publicity. So you can write in your note making, the publication, the time machine gave him a social reputation in the industry of novels. In 1895, also he married Miss, okay, this is all in his personal interfaces. Also, he married Miss Amy Catherine Robbins, a former pupil of his. His first marriage to a cousin having meanwhile been dissolved. Two sons were subsequently born of his second marriage. Next few years brought a series of great scientific romances. Invisible Man, 1897, The Island of Dr. Moreau, 1896-97, The War of the World, 1898. Every year, new publication. The First Men in the Moon, 1901, as well as many stories. So you can list down these his collection of books. Put a tagline as collection of books and go on listing as per the date. Time Machine, 1895 it is. 1896 is Island of Dr. Moreau, then Invisible Man, then War of the Worlds. Then 1901, The First Man in the Moon. These, particularly the first four, gave him uh, lot of money as well as an identity of intellectuality in the field of science especially, through which we come to know the writer's interest is in only something which is not common. When we read the title of these four write-ups, there is an island which was discussed in the last class where Mr. Dr. Moreau is into some invention. Invisible Man, which is totally uncommon into the normal life. This is 1897. Now it is 2021. Is there a chance of invisibility in our capacity? The question arises. The War of the World. They say that the aliens are there. This is all based on that. The Man in the Moon. I think before Neil Armstrong, Mr. H.G. Wells has sent a man on the moon. So we can imagine that how our writer, we are going to read, he is only one writer. We are going to study about it. We are going to like or dislike certain things about it. But outmost, what a writer thinks, what a writer's flow of understanding and experience. Because mind is unlimited. Mind will send us lot of vibrations through ideas, through work, which we can implement and do. Those only can be given a new face in our life. Like that, we understand Mr. H.G. Wells. After completing, no, after just moving out and skipping out few paragraphs, I would like to come to this paragraph because only write-up discussions are there here. Major four, I wanted to keep it for you all. Now, next part is something related to the society, because thinkers, all scientists and thinkers always supported world peace. What he might have done, we have little information here. Wells supported the First World War as the war to end war. Wells supported the First World War as the war to end war, and in 1918 became for a short time director of propaganda policy against Germany. And in 1918, this is the year, the end of the war of the First World War, 1914 to 1918, became for a short time director of propaganda policy. There was a policy to stop, especially these Germans that time, So he became the main director to rule out Germany's work on Lord Northcliffe's Enemy Propaganda Committee. Under this committee, he was the main acting force. His most important work, written and published during the war, was Mr. Britling Sees It Through, which achieved tremendous popularity. One thing I get amazed whenever certain speeches or some posts we watch on Facebook or Insta, especially our Narendra Modi ji. He says he writes books also. He writes so many things concerned to society, concerned to small children. When the readiness of all these things are made, I get amazed because when a person, Mr. H.G. Wells, brain has no rest. Of course, we know that. To what extent, when the world was suffering with World War One, so many countries were involved, and some 60% we Indians were also involved to support against Germany to other countries. In this concern, he became a director to stop Germany to attack. There were many, even the UN was not formed that time. With this also, he is able to write and publish it. This is a quite amazed work. How do they balance it both? When do they get time? This is the basic question what arises, but still people do it. Though personal things are so different, their profession is very perfect. Shortly after the war, he visited Soviet Russia, and in 1921, he attended the Washington Conference. In the years to follow, he traveled much and spent many winters away from the rigors of the English climate. English climate means the British atmosphere. Though he continued writing novels, his most important novel of the interwar years was The World of William Clissold, 1926. He concentrated more and more on the propagating of ideas. The main thesis which he expounded during the last 2 decades of his life, last 2 decades means 10 years, 10 plus 10, was that the human race must adapt itself to the material forces it has created or perish. The line is beautiful here, that the human race must adapt itself to the material forces. This was a cry of that person. This was a loud cry of that person that time, and that to which it is in, of course, in the 20th century, 1926, during that period. He says that human race must adapt itself to the material forces. Whatever the external things other than natural things are all material forces it has created or perish. This means human race should understand what it is creating and what it is going to perish itself. The three great works, Outline of History, Science of Health, Life, and the Work, Wealth, and Happiness of Mankind, were all designed to popularize the ideology appropriate to the task of creating a world state. World is one, all had the same view line. All scientists, worldly renowned, in his view, the only alternative to a return to barbarism and a final annihilation. What is that destruction is? Like we Indians are separated, we Pakistanis are different, we Russians are different, we Americans are different. If everyone starts thinking like this, then the world is going to come to an end. And that is being spoken in which year? 30 years before and after, we can say. He was propagating it, popularizing it. And still we query on the same issue. I don't know further how many years it will go. In 1934, he published 2 volumes of autobiography, Experiment in Living. Autobiography is the copy written by a person himself about his own life and theories. The Second World War was to him the confirmation that mankind has indeed lost the mastery over the forces of its own making. And he was heading inexorably towards doom. That means when the Second World War was over, I think COVID became a third World War for all of us. It was like a surface surface war. Still, we have to face the root war, which is not going to be resolved with any vaccination. The third and the fourth wave are much predicted. His last work, Mind of the End of Its Tether, gave him expression to his final despair. Despair means doom, dullness, or a sadness in life about the end of the world. They were seeing, I think their view sight is quite ahead, quite some 100 century ahead. What we see ourselves in just a 30 to 40 years of lifespan. Means once we attempt into our profession, when we calculate our next 40 to 50 years, we have a calculation. But considering whole mankind, what will be the impact about these material things, about these inventions and discoveries? The concern was in this century itself, in the 1932 year itself. Now it is 2022. The same query and the cry is there with all of us. Though we may not see it, but others have already seen it. Having been ailing for some considerable time, he died in his London home on August 13th, 1946. Note down this date, death date, August 13th, 1946. With this, we shall start the first chapter. I am skipping out the next part. Index has already been forwarded to you. Strange man's arrival. A little part of the video has been already showed you. Strange man's arrival. Now this strange man is who? The one who is invisible right now. How he had made himself visible, we have seen in the video. He covered, bandaged himself. If the bandage is removed, he is not seen. He has put a nose cap. He has covered his head with a black cap. He has overcoated. His trousers are done. His gloves are there. If the gloves are removed, he is not seen. If the coat is removed, the bandage is there. The shirt, under that, bandage. Face is completely covered. If the bandage is cut somewhere, he is completely unseen to any people. This is what the formula he has invented. How anyone can get invisible? It's a magic? No, it's a scientific formulation of some chemicals through which a human body which has a dense form gets invisible by consuming that particular chemical into the body. Now, how it is done? While the novel goes on, we shall see to it. The stranger came early in February, one wintry day, through a biting wind and a driving snow. Biting wind. ಥಂಡಿ ಭಾಳ ಇತ್ತು, ಇಷ್ಟ ಚಳಿ ಅಂತ ನಮ್ ಕಡೆ ಅಂತೂ ಇಷ್ಟೇ ಚಳಿಗೆ ಹೆದರ್ತೀವಿ, ಇದು ಬ್ರಿಟಿಷ್ ಒಳಗದ. A driving snow means there was a continuous snowfall, and the last snowfall of the year over the down, walking from Bramblehurst railway station. Bramblehurst. So ನೀವು ಬರೆಯುವಾಗ ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಶಬ್ದ ಹೊಸ್ತು ಬಂತಲ್ಲ, ಸಪೋಸ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ ನೇಮ್ ಯಾವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಲೆಟರ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಾರ, ಹೆಸರುಗಳು ನೇಮ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಅನ್ನು ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಾರ. ಈಗೇನ್ ನೋಟ್ ಮೇಕಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ, ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಹೊಸ ಜಾಗದ ಹೆಸರು ಬಂತು, ಏನೇ ಬರ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನ ನೋಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲೇಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ರೈಟ್ ಆನ್ ಬ್ರಾಂಬಲ್ಹರ್ಟ್ ಡ್ಯಾಶ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ರೈಲ್ವೆ ಸ್ಟೇಷನ್, ಡ್ಯಾಶ್ ಹಾಕಿ ರೈಲ್ವೆ ಸ್ಟೇಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಹಾಕೊಳ್ರಿ. ಅದರ್ವೈಸ್ ನಿಮಗ್ ಬಹಳ ಡಿಫಿಕಲ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ 1 ಅಂತಾನು ಹಾಕೊಡ್ರಿ, ದ ಸ್ಟ್ರೇಂಜ್ ಮ್ಯಾನ್ಸ್ ಅರೈವಲ್. ಎಂತ ವೆದರ್ ಇತ್ತು, ಬಹಳ ಚಳಿ ಇತ್ತು. ಇಷ್ಟ ಚಳಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರ ಬೈಟಿಂಗ್ ವಿಂಡ್ ಇತ್ತು, ಅಂತಂದ್ರ ಚುಚ್ಚುತ್ತದ ನಮಗ್ ಚಳಿ, ಅಷ್ಟು ಚಳಿ ಒಳಗ ಬ್ರಾಂಬಲ್ಹರ್ಟ್ ರೈಲ್ವೆ ಸ್ಟೇಷನ್ ದಿಂದ ಬಂದ. ಅಂದ್ರ ಟ್ರೈನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದ ನೋಡೋಣ. ಅಂಡ್ ಕ್ಯಾರಿಂಗ್ ಅ ಲಿಟಲ್ ಬ್ಲಾಕ್ ಕೋಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾಂಟಿಯೋ. ಎಷ್ಟು ಭಾರಿ ವರ್ಡ್ ಐತಿ ನೋಡ್ರಿ. ಸೊ ಟ್ರಂಕ್ ಫಾರ್ ಕ್ಲೋತ್ಸ್, ಅ ಟ್ರಂಕ್, ಅ ಬ್ಯಾಗೇಜ್. It is a bag and the name of the bag is portmanteau. So we are going to discover so many new words with this particular novel. So this is our first word according to the first chapter. In his thickly gloved hand, ಆ ಬ್ಯಾಗ್ ನವ ಕೈ ಒಳಗೆ ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದ. He was wrapped up from head to foot. Wrap ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಕವರ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದ, ತಲೆ ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕೆಳಗಿನ ತನ. ಚಳಿ ಐತಿ ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅವ ರ್ಯಾಪ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು. ಬಿಸಿಲಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ ಹಿಂಗ್ ಹಾಕೊಂಡ್ ಬಂದ್ರೆ ನಗ್ತಾರ ಜನ. ಅಂಡ್ ದ ಬ್ರಿಮ್ ಆಫ್ ಹಿಸ್ ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ ಫೆಲ್ಟ್. ಫೆಲ್ಟ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರ ಈಗ ಟೆಡಿ ಬಿಯರ್ಸ್ ನಾವ್ ಬೈ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ, ಟೆಡಿ ಬಿಯರ್ ಮಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ಏನಿರ್ತದಲ್ಲ ಅದು ಫರ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಫರ್ ಬದಲಾಗಿ ಫರ್ ಬಹಳ ಹೇರಿ ಇರ್ತದ, ಕೂದ್ಲು ಉಜ್ಜುದಿರ್ತದ. ಬಟ್ ಅದೇ ಇವು ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ ಟಾಯ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಬೈ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ ಟೆಕ್ಸ್ಚರ್ಡ್ ವೆಲ್ವೆಟ್ ಕಿಂತಲೂ ದಿಪ್ ಇರ್ತದ ಫೆಲ್ಟ್. ಸೊ ಆ ಫೆಲ್ಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಮಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ಇಯರ್. ಫೆಲ್ಟ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ವರ್ಬ್ ಇಯರ್. ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ ಫೆಲ್ಟ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ ಫೆಲ್ಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಕ್ಲಾತ್, ಟೈಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ಲಾತ್. ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ ಟಾಯ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಈ ಫೆಲ್ಟ್ ಮಟೀರಿಯಲ್. The brim of his soft felt hat hid every inch of his face. So hat ಯಾವ ಮಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು? ಫೆಲ್ಟ್ ಮಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು. ಅವನ ಮುಖನ ಎಷ್ಟು ಸಾಧ್ಯದಷ್ಟು ಕವರ್ ಮಾಡಿತ್ತು. ಸೇವ್ ದ ಶೈನಿ ಟಿಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಹಿಸ್ ನೋಸ್. ಆ ಫೆಲ್ಟ್ ಮಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪ್ ಅವನ ಮೂಗನವರೆಗೂ ಕವರ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಅಂತ ಸಾಧ್ಯತೆ ಇತ್ತು. ಶೈನಿ ಟಿಪ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ನೋಸ್. ಶೈನಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಮೂಗು ಹೊಳಿಲಿಕತ್ತಿತ್ತು, ಮೂಗಿನ ಮುಂದಿನ ಭಾಗ ಶೈನ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿಕತ್ತಿತ್ತು. ಅಂದ್ರ ಮನುಷ್ಯರಿಗೆ ನೋಡಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಕವರ್ ಅದ, ಇವನ್ ಐಸು ಕವರ್ ಅದಾವ. ಸಪೋಸ್ ಅವ ಗಾಗಲ್ಸ್ ಹಾಕೊಂಡಿದ್ ನೋಡಿವಿ, ಆ ಗಾಗಲ್ ತೆಗೆದ್ರೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತದ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಣ್ಣಿಲ್ಲ. ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನ್ ಹೌ ದ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಮೇ ಲುಕ್ ವಿಯರ್ಡ್. Shiny tip of his nose and the snow had piled itself against his shoulders and chest. ಚೆಸ್ಟ್ ಭಾಗಕ್ಕ, ಶೋಲ್ಡರ್ ಭಾಗಕ್ಕ ಅವ ರೈಲ್ವೆ ಸ್ಟೇಷನ್ ದಿಂದ ಬರುತನ ಎಲ್ಲ ಅವನ ಮೇಲೆ ಅಂಟಿ ಕೂತಿತ್ತು, ಹೆಗಲ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೂತಿತ್ತು. ಅಂಡ್ ಆಡೆಡ್ ಅ ವೈಟ್ ಕ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಟು ದ ಬರ್ಡನ್ ಹಿ ಕ್ಯಾರಿಡ್. ಬರ್ಡನ್ ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂದ ರೈಟರ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರ ಇನ್ವಿಸಿಬಲ್ ಅದಾನೆ, ಇಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ಕವರ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು. ಚಳಿ ಅದ ನಡೀತದ, ಚಳಿ ಇರ್ಲಾರ್ದಾಗ ಕಷ್ಟ. ಬಟ್ ಇದು ಚಳಿ ಒಳಗೆ ಕತೆ ಶುರುವಾಗಿ ಕತೆ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಮುಗಿತದ. ಆ ಬರ್ಡನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಕವರ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತದು ಯಾವುದು? ದ ಸ್ನೋ ಆನ್ ದ ಕೋಟ್. He staggered. Staggered means an unsteady movement of body in walking as if one were about to fall. He staggered into the coach and horses. More. Coach and horses. ಹೆಸರು ಬರ್ಕೋರಿ. It is a hotel name. Though it is there in this PDF, you will have to pen down it. ನೀವು ಬರ್ಕೊಂಡಾಗೆ ನಿಮಗ್ ಹೋಗೋದು. ನೀವು ಊಟ ತಿಂದಾಗೆ ನಿಮ್ ಹೊಟ್ಟೆ ತುಂಬತದ. ರೆಡಿಮೇಡ್ ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ಹೊಟ್ಟೆ ತುಂಬಲ್ಲ. ಬರೀ ನಾವು ಝೊಮ್ಯಾಟೊ ಒಳಗ್ ನೋಡುವಾಗ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಹೊಟ್ಟೆ ತುಂಬಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಲ್ಲ. ತರ್ಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಪ್ಲೇಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕೊಂಡು ಕೈಯಿಂದ ತಿಂದ ಮೇಲೆ ಹೊಟ್ಟೆ ತುಂಬತದ. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ when you study, you have to put efforts. Right? Coach and horses. It is a hotel name. Right? Full sentence. ಅಲ್ಲಾದ್ರೂ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಬರೀರಿ ಫುಲ್. He staggered. ಅವ್ನ್ ನಡೆಯೋ ರೀತಿ ಹೆಂಗಿತ್ತಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಹೊತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬೀಳ್ತಾನೋ ಅನ್ನೋಂಗ್ ನಡಿಲಿಗತ್ತಿದ್ದ. ಯಾಕೆ ನಡೀತಿರ್ಬೋದಂಗ ನಡೆಯೋ ಸ್ಟೈಲೇ ಹಂಗಿತ್ತು. ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಒಂದ್ ಕಡೆ ಭಯ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಅವನಿಗೆ, ಒಂಥರ ತಳಮಳ ಇರ್ತದ. ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಎಲ್ಲಾದ್ರೂ ಗ್ಲೌಸ್ ಹರಿತೋ, ಎಲ್ಲಾದ್ರೂ ಗಾಗಲ್ಸ್ ಬಿತ್ತೋ, ಕ್ಯಾಪ್ ಬಿತ್ತು, ಹಾರಿ ಹೋಯ್ತು ಅನ್ನೋ ಭಯ. ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ ಜನ ಬಂದು ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ನ್ ಮುಟ್ಬೋದು. ಬಟ್ ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಕ್ಲಾತ್ ಎಲ್ಲಾದ್ರೂ ಹರಿತು, ಎಲ್ಲಾದ್ರೂ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಮೂಗಿನ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಬಿದ್ದೋಯ್ತು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಯಾಕಂತಂದ್ರ when he was wrapping his face, he had to cover his nose very particularly. ಅದು ಒಂದ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಬರ್ತದ. I will send you that video once this chapter is finished. He staggered into the coach and horses. ಇಷ್ಟು ಜೋರ್ ನಡ್ಕೋತ ಬರಾಕತ್ತಾನ, ಬೀಳ್ಕೋತ ನಡ್ಕೋತ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಬೀಳ್ತಾನ ಅನ್ನೋ ಹೆಜ್ಜಿನೂ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಇಟ್ಕೋತ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಮೋರ್ ಡೆಡ್ ದ್ಯಾನ್ ಅಲೈವ್. ಜೀವಂತವಾಗಿ ಅನ್ಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಅವ ಒಂಥರ ಸತ್ತೋರ್ ತರ ಅನಿಸ್ಲಿಕತ್ತಾನ. ಲೈಕ್ he is not appearing complete or confident. It means like that. And flung his portmanteau down. Flung means throw. ದಪ್ಪನೆ ಇಡೋದು. his portmanteau down. ಮನೆಗೆ ಹೋದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಬ್ಯಾಗ್ ಹಂಗ ಹೋಗಿತಿರಲ್ಲ ಹಂಗ. ಸೊ ನಮ್ದು portmanteau ಅಲ್ಲ, ನಮ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಇವಾಗ ಡೌನ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ. We'll begin it from a fire.